My name is Theresa O'Hughes. My FD name is Janeway. I grew up in North Florida. I'm the youngest of 3 girls. We went on vacations all the time, adventures all the time. So our summers were always built around adventures, which is nice because when your dad's a teacher, he has the same holidays as you do. So there's just always been a lot of life and light in my family growing up. My college years at the start were rough. Moving away from home and being in an environment that was completely different, I just failed miserably, at life. And then eventually I went back, knew who I was, knew what I wanted to do, and had that passion and that drive to finish, and got my teaching degree. Whatever I do, I throw myself into wholeheartedly. Teaching just became my identity. They were my kids. When I was diagnosed with MS in the middle of a school year and I was in a full relapse, I learned how quickly your body can just turn against you. But even when I was still teaching, there were days where I had to not go to work because my whole day was full of doctor appointments. And in that second half of the year, I had over 100 doctor appointments. I quickly realized, okay, so this is what your life is going to be now, just managing your health. It started in my eyes. That's what led to the diagnosis. And then the next day was a little worse, and then the next day was a little worse. And about by day 5, it was just pitch black. I went completely blind in my left eye in about a week. When something's going wrong, we just excuse it away. It's stress, I'm tired, it'll be fine, it'll get better, but it didn't. During this whole time, my husband was in the process of needing an open heart surgery to get a triple bypass. Pretty sure that moment is what set my own journey on its path. So it became very apparent to me that, I could not teach. I did not know at this point if I'd ever make it back into a classroom, but I think a part of me knew that this part of this chapter of your life is closing. And the career that you thought you were building, and then the bottom fell out. So closing down my classroom, you have to do that every year no matter what. So that part of the process wasn't new to me. It was am I ever going to be in a classroom again? Am I ever going to, am I ever going to have opportunities like this again? I was also struggling with feeling comfortable outside. It felt like my whole world was just shrinking indoors. So the last thing I thought about was finding any sort of success outdoors. I missed that fresh air and that sun on your face kind of feeling. With learning about your diagnosis, you start signing up for every MS subscription and email and website and community that you can, because you never know which one's gonna fit. So I was looking through one of the emails that was sent, and at the bottom of the email was this little ad for a program called First Descent, free outdoor adventures for people living with MS. I'm like, okay, so sign up here. So whatever, I'll sign up. What's the worst that can happen? They don't pick me. Okay, so then I'm just still doing my life as I am. And then all of a sudden one day there's an email in my inbox saying that a spot had opened up. So I go into my husband's office and I'm like, honey, I just got an email that the rock climbing program in Estes Park, Colorado is now open, and there's a spot for me, but I need to basically kind of tell them today if I'm going to do it, because it's next week. He's like, well, then do it. I said, but I don't know if I can. He's like, so what if you can or can't? Just go and figure it out when you get there. So I didn't know what to expect when getting to Colorado. I wasn't sure what the week was going to entail. Right from the beginning, I realized that First Descents is all about supporting the individual person that's part of the program. It allowed me the opportunity to just kind of focus on myself and growing the relationship with all of the other participants, as opposed to having to think about the little things. The volunteers handling any task that was required. It just allowed us to just be in the moment and building that community that we wouldn't have had the opportunity to build if we were having to manage all of the day-to-day ins and outs. We were there to grow as an individual and then grow as a group. Whether it's the campfires that we sat around every night, the drives to get from one location to another, you just had time. I think that was the biggest surprise, was I was able to hear actual sounds like birds and the leaves, like just all of the little things that we take for granted by being stuck inside all day long. And I wouldn't have had that motivation to find my way outside again if I didn't go on this adventure with First Descents. I mean, my whole perspective about what life means for me and what my life means moving forward changed in less than a week because of this experience. I make the choice of what is good enough, and I make the decision of what is a success for me, because I'm stronger than I realize, and I am bigger than this moment that I'm trying to work my way through. You know, like this, what makes MS a challenging, invisible disease is that every single person is at a different point in their progression of their disease. So even though there was a group of us there and we all had basically the same diagnosis, we weren't the same people. And so like there's moments where I like close my eyes and I can hear all of us yelling each other's names and cheering each other on, and I just kind of sit in that moment and I live in it, and I think about how powerful it was to watch and see and experience this adventure with people that I would never have had the opportunity to meet otherwise. We all have different lives, but we came together and we grew and learned from each other in the process and went home better for it.